Hey, what is up? Welcome to the UndeadGamingCast, episode 4, 5, 4. There we go. I know what I'm doing. It's fine. Trust me. Welcome. If you don't know, this is the monthly gaming podcast where myself and my fellow friends and I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. We talk about video games. You will enjoy this. This is an hour or so where we talk about video games and the industry and everything in between, and it's all fun stuff. So, without further ado, let me introduce our guests. We've got the amazing Humble Gamer from the Humble Gaming channel. Welcome, sir.
Hi, thank you very much.
How are you?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. Enjoying a day off for work, which is always good.
Yay! Awesome. And joining us again is Mr. Josh
You
Whitehurst. How
had
are
me
you, sir?
back.
We can
Yay.
actually see you this
Had
time.
to be back now. Had a really good time last time, so this could be fun.
Awesome, good. No, it's good. Cool. So, yes, if you don't know, this is the monthly podcast where we talk about video games and the like. And if the first time you're listening into us, then well, thank you. And this is how we sort of run things down. We start off the podcast by talking about what we've been up to, what we've been playing recently, and then we go into the main news topic of this month and talk about what's interesting in the world of gaming. And then to finish things off, we talk about next month's releases. So, without further ado, let's kickstart things off with Humble Gamer. What have you been up to this month? What have you been playing recently?
Well, it's been an interesting month for me because I've had a few games that have failed on me. I tried playing Alice Madness Returns again. I've got to a point in that which is it's a really good game if you haven't played it, but I've got to a point in that where it just continually freezes on me, so that's always fun.
Yeah.
I've been playing a game called Damned, which is a multiplayer horror game. Don't know if have either of you two heard of that or experienced it. Basically, what you do is it's up to 5 people in the server, and one of you is the monster, and the other 4 have to escape. It is actually quite scary, but it's still in alpha stage, so there's still a few kinks to be ironed out and stuff like that. But it's a good game, some really good times to be had on there, some good scares, and a bit of retro game. I've been playing The Lord of the Rings: Return of the King, the old movie tie-in game, which I'm amazed how graphically it still actually stands up. I wonder what textures
Yeah,
are.
it still looks awesome. I've been watching some of your Let's Play of it, and
Yeah.
I love that game to bits.
It's an
Awesome
awesome
game.
game. Awesome game.
One of the best movie title games, definitely, without a
Yeah,
shadow of a doubt.
undoubtedly.
Yeah. Yeah, no, but although every time I played that game, I could never get very far on my own. I don't know whether it's because of my skill level back then or what, but I always viewed that as a multiplayer split screen
Nah, it's
co-op
just
game.
hard as balls.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, but no, I'm actually racing through it this time, so maybe it's just extra experience or the fact that it is an old game. So
I don't know, spoiler alert, when he wasn't recording, he put it on easy mode.
yes, that is also true.
The conspiracy!
Gamers actually put their games on easy to make them look good? What?
Well, now you know the secret of YouTube success.
Letting out the secrets here.
You heard it here first, kids.
Awesome.
But yeah, and of course the staples of stuff like Prop Hunt and stuff like that. But I tend to play pretty regularly whenever I can get a server going. So
Cool.
but
Prop
yeah,
Hunt the Gary's mod.
yeah, the
thing.
Gary's mod.
Have you seen the like the murder mod? Like I think that
Yes.
looks like so much fun. I mean, unfortunately my computer is a pile of rubbish, but I think there is mega lols to be had playing
Murder
that.
is very funny, but it can ruin friendships because you do get really paranoid.
Like Monopoly.
Yes, like Monopoly.
Yeah, no, I've never played Gary's mod. I know there's quite a following behind it, but I've never experienced it myself.
It's a Half-Life mod, wasn't it,
It
originally?
is, yes. Yes, it's all based on the sort of source engine, so but it's very good and it actually isn't as graphically demanding as some games, so for multiplayer stuff it's actually really quite good.
It
And
still
dead
looks really
simple.
nice though.
It does, yeah, it looks brilliant for what it is. Looks amazing.
It just looks like Team Fortress basically, but like with all like the physics like are properly
Yeah.
orchestrated rather than Team Fortress physics, which are a bit sketchy.
Yes, they are a little bit. That was what put me off TF. I played it a couple of times. It just I didn't sit well with me. I'm probably going to get flame letters over that, but
I did play TF2 for a little while last year. I really enjoyed it. It's like the first time I'd really sat down and played like a computer shooter as such. Because I'm primarily a console gamer. So,
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, no, I really enjoyed my time with
I,
TF2.
I, I can't get on with TF2. I can't. Like one I'm playing on my Mac, which isn't great, and so you can't even like. I mean, I don't even know if it has gamepad support, but I can't even plug in a gamepad to a Mac because Mac no work.
Yeah.
So like,
Pretty much how it is.
and there's definitely a certain skill level I think in TF2 that you just have to be
Yeah.
because it's mad.
Alternatively, you could just play the pyro and just win. Because that's all I ever did. I was just like, super mega noob, pyro on, and just like run around. Literally, you just sneak up on people who aren't paying attention and just set them on fire, and you always get kills.
That's how I play Skyrim, but that's unrelated.
Works across multiple platforms, really.
It does, yeah.
Fusro fire.
Oh no.
Awesome. Anything else at all, Humble?
Not that I can think of off the top of my head. No, I mean a couple of sort of sports games. Big cricket fan, so there's a new one of those out.
Cool.
But yeah, that does what it does. It does it really well. So
Fair enough.
Can't argue
Fair
that.
enough. Awesome. Okay, so Josh, what have you been up to? What have you been playing recently?
Oh god, I've been playing once again. I've played more than I had last time, but
Wow.
sort of like less of what I had. So I picked up BattleBox Theatre, which we talked about when I did the podcast with Naz, and that was really fun. I was sort of like
Yeah.
playing around single player with that, and that was a lot of fun. But then my friend Aaron came to stay for the weekend, and he's not really into platform games at all, but he said he thought it was really funny and just played really well. So we bashed out that for a week for a little while. Played a bit of Splinter Cell. Was it Conviction? Possibly, yeah, Conviction. Because I sort of enjoy my Tom Clancy titles, as I said last time. And I picked up Destroy All Humans yesterday. So I've just been playing that this
Cool.
morning before the podcast. That's pretty much.
Awesome. What did you pick that up on?
360. It was like £2.37.
oh, nice.
And it was just like I'm having so much fun with it. You just run around with the alien, just like setting all humans on fire. It's great.
Nice.
Flying a UFO around,
Awesome.
that sort of thing.
Cool. Anything else at all?
No, I briefly dabbled with SSX again, and just the regular sort of like sports games. As Humble said, it's just kind of they do what they do. They do them well.
Yeah.
There's nothing really spectacular to say. They're just good for 5 minutes of just sitting down and just bashing something out, I guess. What about you then, Mr. Rob?
Well, not. I've been playing the same game on every podcast since we started this, and that is Fallout 3. I've been non-stop
Classic.
playing this
Good
game.
Classic.
Yeah, no, I've been able to play it a little bit more. I've been live streaming a fair bit with it last week, which has been really fun to do. Kind of got to a point where I've got no quests to do in it, and I'm like, oh no, what do I do? So I've just been exploring, which is still fun to me. I love doing that, just walking around the world and stuff, and finding new places, and occasionally stumbling upon a quest or two and things like that. But more recently, over the weekend, I started the Operation Anchorage DLC, which I thought was really fun.
It's
Really fun.
a bit odd, that one. It's like I did play. It was, I think it was the first DLC I played, because and it was the first one I played, and I was actually really surprised with like the sort of linear nature of it. Like I knew because I was watching the Twitch stream on the Saturday or the Sunday, whenever it was.
Sunday I was streaming it. Yeah.
Yeah. And there was a bunch of people in there saying, "I like never seen it before. Like, is it meant to be linear, or are you just sort of playing it in that way?"
Yeah,
But
because
it is.
it kind of turns itself into like just sort of like a linear first-person shooter, essentially like a corridor shooter
Yeah.
for the most part. Which is I didn't mind really. You know, it's kind of nice that they kind of did something a little bit different with it, I suppose.
I think the only downfall of that is that it actually just showcases how piss poor the shooting mechanics are. Like when just like that's the only thing you can focus on, when you can't focus on the levels or the exploration or
Yeah.
whatever. Like it just shows like how bad the actual shooting is in that game.
That is kind of one of my sort of only gripes about Fallout is the shooting mechanics. Is that I mean, when you got the VATs, it's all right.
Yeah.
You know, that works absolutely fine. But it's the crosshair. The crosshair is so damn small, and I don't even think the sort of aim is that smooth either.
No, it's not.
Personally.
in New Vegas, like I did play, like New Vegas is terrible compared to Fallout 3.
Yeah.
It's just straight up bad. But and it's also buggy as hell. But in that game, you could actually look down your sights, or like at least kind of get the
Yeah, that's one thing
zoom.
that I hate as well, because it just kind of zooms in. You don't sort of
Yeah.
properly look down the site. It's
I
what's the
think
point?
I think Fallout 3 with Fallout New Vegas is like polish
Mm.
would be absolutely excellent. But
Well, we'll see what they hopefully do with
Fallout
Fallout 4.
4,
Yes.
But no, but I enjoyed the DLC. It was nice. It was from a lore point of view and story point of view. I enjoyed it from that.
Have you
yeah,
played the extraterrestrial DLC yet? I can't remember exactly what it's
Mothership
called.
Zeta.
Mothership Zeta. No.
I have it, but I haven't played it. I'm currently playing through. Well, when I last played Fallout, I was on Point Lookout. I was kind of doing them.
Yeah,
Mm.
Point Lookout was good. It was better than the Anchorage DLC in that it was a bit more open worldy. It was exploring this new island. Kind of like it reminded me a lot of the Shivering Isles.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For Oblivion.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mothership Zeta was good because I have a lot of sci-fi interests outside stuff like computer games and stuff like that. And it reminded me a bit of one of my favourite ones, Babylon 5. I could pretend I was the captain of the ship, which is something that I'm always looking forward to in a computer game. But uh, it's a bit repetitive. Do play it; it's worth the playthrough, but be prepared to do a lot of repetitive.
Grinding.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Is it similar
I
to
mean,
Operation Anchorage in terms of like the corridor shooter aspect?
a little bit. Yeah, obviously you're on a spaceship, so there's only so much you
Explore.
can do. And the aliens, I think the thing is, Fallout 3. Yes, it's the old post-apocalyptic cliche and stuff like that, but it does actually have some decent ideas of, I mean, I love the centaur. Is it the centaurs? The sort of
yeah.
small. I love what they look like, and a lot of the other monsters are good, but the aliens were just a bit phoned in for me. They felt a bit like let's just do everyone's UFO vision.
Yeah.
I
But
wondered if
I
it was like
suppose
parody
that's
though.
yeah. I suppose that's part of the
Might
sort
be,
of
yeah.
some of the charm of Fallout is some of it's quite obvious parody sort
Yeah.
of things, and you obviously get a couple of hints and stuff of those sort of things,
Yeah.
which is always fun and quite funny.
Because that's
Yeah,
what I found. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go first, Josh.
I suppose that's what I found. Like, because I've just been playing Destroy Humans, it's kind of like the aliens look like aliens, and the humans react. Like one of the first weapons you get is like a heat-seeking anal probe, and it's just like really, really playing like on the cliche
Yeah.
of like 70s like cinema and like humans and like extraterrestrials and the relationship between them. And I guess that occasionally like Fallout is obviously a lot more serious with it, whereas that's a
Yeah.
bit more tongue in cheek. But it's lots of like Mad Dogs kind of little
Yeah.
like radio podcasts going out against the Enclave are
Mm.
really sort of like they're aimed sort of at like the Bush administration and that
Yeah.
sort of thing. It's kind of
Yeah.
a bit more subtle, but it's very sort of parody heavy anyway.
Yeah, I've not thought about it like that. Fair, I mean, fair play. I mean, I think next time I'll play it with that in mind, and maybe that'll alter the experience. But
Yeah,
actually,
just slightly.
thinking of Operation Anchorage for you, Rob, there is actually quite a nice, and for you, of course, Josh. There's quite a nice sort of tie over in that there's a level in the garbage. It's a completely optional level, but in the garbage compactors, I'll say spoiler alert now, where you find the general's coat. The general from Operation
Right.
Anchorage, you find his coat. But on PS3, the texture never worked for me. It just came up as one of their sort of the combat armor from the Operation Anchorage. I don't know if that was just a texture malfunction on my version of the game or whether it was something that could be patched.
It's
But
badass. That's so cool.
yeah, so
Did you?
they did.
Sorry, go on.
No, I was just saying that they did sort of obviously think about the DLC before they released it, which is something unusual.
So is that something you could access before Anchorage then?
Yeah, if you do the shit first, you can get that and you'll go, oh, whose coat is this? And then when you play Anchorage, you go,
Right, I see. So
it's
on
him.
Mothership Zeta, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was about to say, because like
Yeah.
in Fallout 3, you could find the wreckage of the craft and get the alien blaster.
Yeah.
Which was something in the game before the DLC. So
Yeah.
yeah. Did you
Pretty cool.
finish Operation Anchorage
I
diplomatically?
did, yeah. I finished it during the live stream.
But no, did you do it diplomatically? Like you can like spoilers. You can,
Spoilers.
because we had to do this last time because they ruined Far Cry for me. the time beforehand?
I didn't, because I've never played it. So
But other way, you can make him like commit suicide, like if you've got a high speech skill, like and he just like stabs himself, and it's quite funny.
yeah, that's what I did.
That's good.
But I didn't know it was going to end that way.
I thought it was fucking hilarious the first time I did it. I was just like, you know what? I can't bother to fight this guy. He's like tooled up. Just
Yeah, no, because he was like fighting, and he was like, shouting at me and stuff. And I was like, whoa, buddy, you need to chill out.
Need to just
It's
kill yourself.
over. It's over. Let's just go. Come on. And then he gets his sword out, and I'm like, whoa, okay, right. So clearly, I'm gonna have to smash your face in with my shotgun. And then he was like, oh! I was like, oh, fair enough.
Nearly as easy as Fable 2's final boss.
That was
Oh,
awful.
God.
That was an awful moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
At least you have to have the speech skill high enough for that to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I've got a fairly high speech skill in that game, which is handy.
Although going back to Fable, I am looking forward to Fable 4.
It's like Legends.
Yes.
Right.
Mainly because I know someone in it. So.
That's cool. A friend of my old housemate, he said that his like dad's friend was one of the guys who was the development team,
Oh, cool.
and so like his one of his mates or like one of his like friends' sisters or brothers were born during the time of Fable 2's like development, and so their
really?
names on the credits. It's like, and congratulations to all the babies born like during the
Yeah.
development period, and their names in there. So
Hmm.
there you go,
Cool.
little Easter eggs by Lion.
Nicely done.
Yeah, when they were good. What? Oh, I'm sorry. Fable 3 was shit.
Molyneux.
It was the biggest disappointment.
Nah, I quite like Fable 3. I think it's okay. It's not as good as 2, but I think it's okay.
It was right. It was a good graphically and everything. It looked beautiful. It looked amazing. And some of the ideas that they had, brilliant, and the storyline, brilliant. But they could have done so much more with it. I was expecting so much more than what we got, because it was kind of like rebellion, king, done.
My gripe with Fable 3 is that they took a lot of the exploration out. Like Fable 2, you know,
Yeah.
you just fast travel everywhere anyway. But it was nice that you could just sort of like meander around and like, obviously you never ever go near where the Balverines are if you're just walking. But
Yeah.
it's nice to know that you can just be like, oh, well, there's this over here, and then like you get random enemies, or you'd fight a troll or like whatever,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and you just kind of Fallout 3 sort of diminished that a little bit for me, because you kind of like you click start and you go into the big map, and then you just go, well, fuck this, I'm just gonna like
Yeah. I
teleport
mean, like
everywhere.
playing through Fable, the original Fable on doing my Let's Play on that, like I can see how much more superior Fable is than even its Fable 2, which I love.
Yeah.
Fable 2 is amazing. It was the first Fable game I played, and I absolutely love that game to pieces. Was one of the games that got me into RPGs heavily, as well.
There is no one Xbox that game.
Yeah, but like Fable is just so much bigger, and there's just so much more, which is weird. It's
See, I just wonder, is it actually bigger and there's so much more, or is it just a case of like we've been spoilt with these kinds of games that just allow us to just like port everywhere really quickly without actually having to take the time to think about the ramifications of like wandering around?
yeah.
It's a fair
Dunno.
comment.
I mean, I did watch a bit of your Fable Let's Play.
Oh, thank you.
Like, I'm trying to find the time to watch them really, but it's it just seems that like there's like not as much fast traveling, if any,
Mm.
and I just kind of think that we've been a bit spoilt, because obviously
Yeah, I mean, like it's fast travel every now and then, and that, and the more I discover, the more there is, to like locations and places. To me, it seems that there are more locations, and more places to go and see, and things like that. Really.
See, on that point, I was watching another very famous YouTuber whose name I won't mention, but he made the point he's a game reviewer. He made the point that whereas back in the day we could have big games in terms of size, like things like Fable, and I think what was it? One of the early, I think it was Arena or Daggerfall, one of the early Elder Scrolls games
yeah.
that had like an island the size of Britain in the game.
Mm.
Now, just imagine if we got that with Skyrim, as opposed to, I think, what was it? Skyrim's about 5 miles, is it, across or something like that in relative distance?
It's got to be longer than that, surely.
Yeah.
God, it's huge, Skyrim is.
Yeah, but either way, the point he made was that back in the day, because graphics weren't as good as they are now, you had more room on the disk and in the memory for extra places. Whereas now, because a lot of space is taken up by these very nice looking and well rendered textures, that we're actually running out of space for the game to a certain extent because there's only so
Mm.
much memory on a disk until we reach the next big thing.
Mm.
You know. So maybe that's a factor with stuff like the Fable games, because obviously the graphics have improved game to game,
Yeah.
but they've had to then sacrifice something else. So
But in saying that, Fable's never been graphically amazing.
No.
It's always still kind of it's stylized and kind of cartoony. Which don't get me wrong, I absolutely love the style of Fable. It's unique and amazing. But it's never been like say Skyrim,
yeah,
where graphically that is
Amazing.
stunning.
Yeah.
You know, so from that point of view, I can understand. But Fable, I don't know.
I think it's also
Just from that point of view,
Yeah.
where saying graphics are getting bigger and better, and yes, Fable has got better with graphically, but it's not on a. I wouldn't say it's on a par with something like Skyrim or.
I think it's also down to like graphical style. Like obviously,
Yeah.
World of Warcraft is now what? It's got to be 10 years old.
Oh, it's over
Like,
10 years.
yeah, it's more than 10
no,
years.
it's 10 years, isn't it?
I mean,
Yeah, this year.
obviously they've had like minor tweaking updates and stuff.
Yeah.
But like generally speaking, they released the expansions in mind that you need to be able to play it on the previous machine. You don't need to just like buy a new computer. So like, like 10 years ago, like World of Warcraft still looks like as good as World of Warcraft does now, virtually. And the same with games like Crackdown. Like Crackdown 1 looks as good as Crackdown 2. Like it's because the cell shading like is a very like distinct art style.
Yeah.
Which was what I was like about WoW, was it was a very like distinct style of like drawing, so that it doesn't age poorly. Like I think you give it like 10 years or like not next gen, like Skyrim is going to look like a piece of crap next to like
Yeah.
the next gen.
Scroll 6.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think sometimes they need to bear in mind that you don't need to have these big fancy like bells and whistle graphics. You can go for this, if you go for the slightly different tone, then it's it's more forgiving, and then
But I
maybe we can
suppose- I
find more
suppose
space for the
that's-
games.
That's different, all round. Like you've got games that have got their own style, like more cartoony graphics, and generally they stand the test of time. They will last long. You could go back and play, I don't know, Spyro Year of the Dragon or Ratchet and Clank, and
Good game.
old games, but you still think, well, they still stand up. These still look good today.
Yeah.
But whereas games that have got a more realistic look and try to have a more realistic graphical look, they can look more dated and don't stand up as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, Fallout 3.
Yeah.
Lots of brown, lots of grey, lots of rivers.
Yeah. No, really enjoying it. Really enjoying it still. So
Yeah, I might
So,
go
yeah.
bashing that after the podcast. I think I was playing Destroy Humans, but back on the Fallout hype.
Might not be a bad shout actually.
yeah, no,
So
I've
I'll
got,
come back next time and compare experiences.
Yeah. Now there's an MMO from Bethesda I would have played.
Yeah, I mean, it was I think a topic we discussed. Was it on the Ghost Cast? I can't even remember. But we did discuss with the sort of release of, because at the time Elder Scrolls was still in beta. It was just about to be released.
Yeah.
And I got a chance to play the beta, which was awesome.
It was. It's a good game.
But it just does make me wonder with if it is. I mean, it's doing all right at the moment.
Yeah.
Probably could be doing better or possibly worse. I don't know. But if it continues to do well, will we possibly see a Fallout MMO?
Debatable. My issue with the Fallout MMO is that obviously you're the lone wanderer. You are the survivor. Like if you're looking around, like you walk around Fallout, you see what. You walk from side to side and sort of don't like go into like Megaton or whatever. You might see like 10 people. Like if you're lucky, and everything else is just trying to kill you. My issue with an MMO is then obviously like you've got leveled areas, but then so you're gonna have like 15 dudes all stood around a mole rat at level 1 beating the crap out of it. And it's just it takes the whole appeal of Fallout to me almost is that you feel like you've
You
survived
feel
something
alone.
epic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
And
Very
like
true.
when you add like 20 other players into the mix, and you just walk from side to side and you meet like 100 people.
See, my
Yeah.
problem with the Elder Scrolls and other MMOs that have come from games like that, I mean, not many have happened, but MMOs that have come across from single-player games, is that they, even with the ESO, they tried to hold on desperately to the sort of epic storyline quality. Was actually, I play MMOs to have fun with my mates. So I prefer an MMO that takes a sort of Mount and Blade approach, which is Have you either of you guys played Mount and Blade?
I watched some YouTuber do a Let's Play, famous YouTuber, once again, won't mention it, but
Yeah.
I watched him do I think it was like with a Game of Thrones add-on, but so I know how it
Yeah.
works.
It basically for Rob, it's sort of it's massively open world. You can create your own story, but there is no overarching storyline. It's all free faction warfare. You can join the factions. You can become a bandit. You can be a merchant. Do the gladiatorial stuff. So it's really good. So if they made an MMO like that, I mean, Mount and Blade is online. So
It's a really role-play based
oh yeah.
MMO.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's
So if
really
they did
cool.
something like that with a Fallout 3 universe, but maybe obviously set it maybe 100 years or so after the events of Fallout 3 or when Fallout 4 comes out, so that they can say the human race has started to pick up again, which then legitimately
Makes more sense with the lore, yeah.
the
It
large
makes-
amount of people. So
Because it makes sense with the Elder Scrolls, obviously, because the Elder Scrolls is, the Elder Scrolls didn't suffer a nuclear holocaust.
no,
No.
So it's, it's easy
I mean,
to have hundreds of people running around.
What I'd like and I've always wanted since I played Oblivion, so this spans across the Elder Scrolls and the Fallout games from Bethesda. What I would love is not necessarily an MMO, but for me to go around the world as and when I please, and then occasionally, Josh is online.
yeah,
Do you want to come into my game? Do you want to
Yes.
play? And then essentially Red Dead Redemption, when you could
Yeah.
get with your friends and start a posse and just go around the world and do shit.
yeah,
That is what I would love. Like at least 4 people, you and 3 other guys or whatever,
Yeah.
and you just go around Fallout, go around, Skyrim,
There's
whatever,
some like multiplayer instance things.
play some
like,
dungeons,
Yeah.
do some instances maybe, do some quests. That sort of thing would be amazing.
yeah. I think especially games like that, particularly stuff. Obviously, the amount of Lord of the Rings mods that have come out for Oblivion and Skyrim.
Yeah.
The whole Fellowship feeling. It's a game
Yeah.
that lends itself to
Yeah.
multiplayer, and I am amazed that Bethesda hasn't looked at that.
Yeah.
well, like on the
yeah.
flip side of what I said about Fallout, that was always my issue with Skyrim. Was that you've got these hundreds of people in hundreds of cities all around the place, and you can't have a friend. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Mm.
yeah.
It's just different. I think especially after how Red Dead did it,
Yeah.
like just with that idea that you could just get into a posse and just run around the world,
Red Dead's a bit odd though, because like Red Dead doesn't really have like. Does it have story missions like when you're playing multiplayer? Because I know you can do the
I don't
hideouts, and
know. I
obviously
don't
you
think
can
it
like run
does.
around and you can like kill other players, and
Yeah.
it's PvP and it's.
But even
flexible
just
and
using
things,
that as a
but-
basis, and with how Bethesda, with their lore and their story and everything, and even it could warrant expansion packs or DLC
Yeah.
for specifically for those instanced or player, group-based things,
Yeah.
which I think would be awesome, and it would still, even with Fallout, it would still lend the oh god, what's the word?
Like this isolation.
The
almost.
immersion, I
Yeah.
suppose, of being alone in this world, the lone wanderer. But hey, I've got my mate here who's gonna, come along with me.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
And of course, the great thing with
Yeah.
stuff like that for a Bethesda game is you'd all get to share in all the glitches, so you could all see what everyone's went wrong, which
Yeah.
would be amazing.
Fantastic.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah, that's probably
Oh,
what
I'm gonna have to
Centaurs
play
were.
Fallout
They're
after
probably
this.
just a glitch.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Awesome. So, I suppose are we done with talking about what we've been playing and the massive tangent we took?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's content, if nothing else, I guess.
Indeed. Okay, so I suppose onto the main topic of today's podcast. Kind of like recently, there was a sort of survey done that most PCs sold are now being bought by are high-end gaming PCs being bought by enthusiasts, and they're kind of the people that are holding up sales of PCs, because obviously a lot of people now, sort of normal people who buy PCs or laptops, generally are either business types or other sorts, and they're kind of going more towards the smartphones and the tablets, because obviously they're getting bigger and better and kind of more suitable for those sort of things. So PC sales are kind of more or less being dominated by enthusiasts. So it kind of begs the question, will... Obviously there's always been the ongoing fight, PC Master Race versus the console idiots. Will this possibly be the last generation in which we have consoles, do you think? Do you think maybe PC will dominate so much over the next couple of years that everyone might be PC gamers?
Don't think so. For the reasons that, like, I know lots of parents buy their kids like consoles. So, like, a lot of the market's kind of driven by, like, parents at Christmas buying the kids like the Xbox One or the PS4 or whatever. Also, lots of gamers, like myself included, my argument for getting a gaming PC wasn't that I didn't want a gaming PC necessarily, but it was the fact that it's just like, well, I can't be bothered to have to upgrade every time I want to play, the next game. Whereas, like, if it's coming out on the 360 or the PS4 or the Xbox One or whatever, I know for a fact that the game works. I'd literally just stick it in, and it might not have all the bells and whistles and the mods, but at the end of the day, like, I'm not really hugely into modding games aside from like Minecraft, really. So, it works for me just to be able to go, okay, well, I want to play like The Division. I don't need 100 mods telling me what's happening. I just want to sit down, pick it up with a friend, go, and not have to worry about like my computer like lagging out or crashing and graphical glitches, because they get patched for the Xbox if they bug out.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's a matter of, I can just go like, okay, well, 7 o'clock, meet you on the Xbox, Rob, let's go, and then that's easy.
Yeah.
Like, I think convenience for lazy gamers is another reason to keep it around.
Yeah, you see, I'm quite different to Josh in that I love modding games. I mean, my Skyrim's, I think I've got about 150 mods that I sort of swap and change as we go. And so for me, the modding community on PCs is a godsend. It's brilliant. You can get so many things that you think, I mean, one of my big, sticking with this, the Elder Scrolls, one of my big bugbears with both Oblivion and Skyrim is the lack of cloaks, which in a fantasy game is a glaring
I've
omission.
never understood why that's not been a thing.
No, but of course, and within like a week of Oblivion and a week of Skyrim, go on the Nexus and you've got cloaks there. You think, right, brilliant, I can make my character look a little bit more fantasy. And the other reason, because I sold my PS3 to buy my...
Sorry, I just need to plug in my laptop, because it's slowly running out of battery, but carry on.
That's right. But no, what I did was I actually sold my PS3 to buy the computer I'm currently using. And my reason for that was actually, I was talking to my flatmate, the Fireblades, about this before I came on, and the thing with PC game for me is that it's more inclusive. There are less exclusive titles for both the Xbox One and the PS4, and previously the Xbox 360 and the PS3. And exclusive titles are all well and good, and I get them. I understand that Halo obviously has always been an Xbox IP, and it always will be Microsoft's IP. But there is a greater spread of games on the computer. And if my graphics card gets outdated, I have to spend... I mean, I'm never going to need a top-of-the-line one because I don't play top-of-the-line games. So, I'm going to spend about, somewhere between 150 and 250 quid on a decent graphics card, which is much better, in my opinion, than spending 350, 400 on a new console that, as it seems to be the fashion at the moment, my old games won't play on, which is one of the bugbears I have.
Because that's definitely one of the things as well. Because there's obviously loads of counter arguments and all this business. But one thing I've definitely found, especially from last generation, last generation was probably one of the longest console generations we had, spanning about 7-8 years or whatever it was.
It's not far off.
But bearing in mind at the moment with the PS4 and the Xbox One, currently they are on a par with high-end gaming PCs, so we're told, at the moment. So they're on a par. But give it a year, give it 2 years, they'll be out of date, because PC will have gone The graphics will have, got better. There'll be some new piece of hardware that will just outshine the Xbox One and the PS4 from a graphical standpoint. And not only that as well, constantly we're seeing with new generations coming that, oh no, sorry, that console's not backwards compatible, but you can still buy that old game on the PSN store or the Xbox Live store. It's like, yeah, but I've already got the game. I've got the game here. Why can't I just? Oh no, but you can buy it again. Oh, great. Whereas PC, as you said, yes, you can. I mean, I can go on Steam now. Not that I can buy it and play it because I've got a Mac. Damn you, Mac. But I could find Baldur's Gate 2 or System Shock. All these old games they've got nothing else to play it on. But I can still play them on a PC. So there's a much wider spread back catalogue and of new games, old game, everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would inclined to agree with that point. I think it does go back to the point where it's like, obviously Xbox and PS3 are on par at the moment, but then like in 2 years' time, Humble's going to be playing the same game on PC that I'm playing on my Xbox, but he might have had to upgrade his graphics card. So like, it's just the cost initially of that £400, and then it's like plus your games, obviously.
Yeah.
£400. That's it until like next gen, or like until it gives out, or I grow up eventually. Probably not, but So I mean, that's kind of like, once again, you talk about like arguments, counter arguments and stuff. Then that's kind of always my biggest thing. It's like, I would like to have a PC, like a good PC, because I want to be able to play like Civilizations and like like you said, like System Shock and like really old school kind of like cool games like Papers, Please and things like that.
Yeah.
Oh god, that game is amazing.
Yeah, no, I bought it for my friend for Christmas. But there are a lot of games that you can get on PC. Like you said, the exclusives.
Yeah.
Are better on the PC, obviously, because you get more games. But I just like being able to just like sit down, pick up, play, and then not have to worry about the graphical requirements of X game or Y game, because it's still coming at me in 720p or 1080p or whatever my television allows.
Yeah.
It's
because that is always a worry, I suppose, is the inevitability of, have to upgrade the PC again. But then again, I suppose costs can make up for each other, I suppose, because PC games are always going to be cheaper than PlayStation,
well, you pay 50
Xbox.
quid for a game on the new gen.
Yeah. Whereas it's probably about 30 quid on PC.
Sometimes.
And then of course as well another one of the big draws, I think, because obviously we are definitely getting more people going over to PC or buying PC games and PC systems. You see it all the time. A lot of YouTubers now are all on PC. I think you yourself are on PC, Humble.
Yeah.
A lot of streamers are playing on PC, but also one of the massive draws is Steam. Steam's probably one of the most successful things of its kind that sells games, and the phenomenal sales it has. I mean, I don't even think PlayStation Network and Xbox Live sales have even matched anything Steam's done on the scale that they've done. I mean, with you know the sales. We're talking big sales, 75% off, 100% off, 125% off. I think it's been done before.
Give you money back to pay the
yeah,
game.
yeah.
Amazing.
It's ridiculous. They're paying you to buy the game for free. That's definitely one of the huge draws, I think.
Okay, well, just from what I can see here, sorry, I just done a quick little Google, as it always is always helpful if my laptop ever loads. The Steam and Valve in, I think it was 2010 or 2011. Valve intends to remain private, blah blah blah. It's anywhere between $2 to $4 billion. The company is worth. Steam made 3 to 4 million for Valve in 2010.
God, Valve could buy Snapchat.
Yeah, well, probably.
But actually, the one counter argument against PCs, which is something I had an issue with last night, and actually part of this is against Steam. First of all, Steam went down last night.
Yeah, Steam does occasionally crash,
which is annoying. We were trying to play some prop hunt. We'd got, everyone was online. Suddenly the chat goes down, so we come onto Skype, and it's great, but we can't play any online games unless they're obviously non-Steam related. And the other bugbear for PC owners at the moment, and Rob, you won't have experienced this, and you have my eternal jealousy for not having to deal with this, is Windows 8.1. Because the amount, not for new games it's fine, but
Yeah.
the amount of older games. I was amazed that Lord of the Rings played quite so cleanly for me. I thought it was going to have oodles of issues with that. But 8.1, certainly for me, I don't know if anyone else out there has had this problem. It's compatibility with some games is not in the high percentages.
You
Or it
get
doesn't seem
the
to be
same
anyway.
problems that you did at Vista from XP.
Yeah.
My brother was saying, because like recently kind of thought about upgrading my laptop to a laptop, because I've got two, one for games, one for things like this, and I was just going to
Yeah.
upgrade it into one. I was going to console my two laptops into one easy to pay monthly laptop.
Got some parcel tape if you want to do that.
That's,
Look what I made.
but no.
Thanks, Blue Peter.
So here's one I made earlier. None of the American viewers are going to get that, by the way. Just like Blue Peter jokes. That's a bit niche. But
Google it.
But yeah, no, my brother does computer sciences and digital forensics at university, and he was saying just get a like if you're gonna get a laptop like that's capable of like running like decent games, just get Windows 7. It's just infinitely easier. It causes you so many less issues just to have Windows 7. You'll be able to play all the games you want to play.
But then it's cheaper. It's cheaper to buy a desktop.
Actually, the one thing I will say about that is when I was looking for my desktop, I could have got more laptop for my money. I could have got a much stronger laptop for my money. The reason I went for desktop is A, because there's a bit of a bloke machismo thing, which laptop wimpy, desktop big tower thing. But also, obviously, the upgrading graphics card thing, you can't do that with a laptop. You might as well buy a console, because as soon as you crack open a laptop, you've voided all your warranties. They won't touch it with a barge pole or whatever goes wrong with it. Whereas PC, although I am saying that on the internet and this will void a warranty, you can take the side panel off and put it back, and no one need never notice. So that's the argument there. I think I've got about 500 quid's worth of kit here, but for the same, because I pay monthly, because I obviously didn't have 500 quid lying around, but for the same price I could have got about 800-900 quid's worth of laptop, but I just didn't fancy it.
So that's I suppose because if you've got the better laptop versus the slightly worse PC per se, would that last you up until the point where you probably needed to change you change your tower anyway? Because obviously the capabilities of the laptop were obviously better than the capabilities of the PC.
It probably would have done, but the thing is, obviously, I bought this before, just after I started YouTube, so I bought it with that in mind. The idea that I was going to have a lot of footage on. Of course, certainly you, Rob, will know what Fraps does in terms of video size. It does eat a lot of memory, and the thing that drew me to the PC ultimately was, yes, I would have a lower performance, and I probably would have to upgrade it sooner, but I could add as much memory to the thing as I wanted, again, without damaging the laptop or damaging the computer or avoiding any warranty. So that was the one good thing about the PC. But there are arguments, as we've said before, there are arguments for and against sort of all three.
Definitely. But I suppose because I'm looking into getting a PC because it is becoming increasingly difficult to do a lot of things on my Mac that I'm doing for my channel. So obviously I play Lord of the Rings online, I do a Let's Play of that. The game runs fine on my laptop, but when I start adding recording software, audio recording and all that, it lags the game and occasionally crashes. So it makes it increasingly difficult for me to record that Let's Play. And obviously if I get a PC, it opens everything up to more games, more things that I can do, and probably stream better and things like that. So, but when I was thinking about getting a laptop. But one of I can't remember who it was, but it was a YouTube channel, like one of these tech channels. It was really good actually. I forget the channel's name. But he basically said what it boils down to when comparing desktop and laptop, apart from all the specs and everything, because you can get equivalents that are just as good or, to each other. But really what it boils down to, I suppose, is do you need to be portable with it? Because obviously laptops are for portability, desktops are for staying put. Do you need to go around with a laptop to play games, or are you quite happy to just stay at home with them and that? You
See,
know?
I quite like actually just being able to pick up and play. Like the idea of, say, you invite me to play Lord of the Rings online, and I can just come round to your house and say if you know the Skype call on the memory or whatever, and we can just both sit there. We can both just communicate like one on one. And
Oh God, I enjoy.
obviously,
I
I live.
miss those days when I was younger, going around my best mate's house. We both used to play World of Warcraft,
Yeah.
and I'd just go around his. We played right next to each other, just do
Yeah.
dungeons. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Those are the days.
Obviously, the other thing is that I'm a university student as well,
Mm.
and occasionally, not so often, but occasionally I do need to go back to the Midlands because it's a dark, dark place there.
It
But
really
occasionally
is.
I do need
Really
to go back.
is.
I do occasionally need to go back to the Midlands, and just being able to just pick up my laptop and go, and then I'll be able to sit there and I can still play Lord of the Rings with Rob. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's actually what I really like about it. There's a guy that we know from who was part of the society that we partake in at university, and he was like, why would you get a laptop?
Gaming society. It's not one of these weird religious cult societies.
But
Just want to clear that up.
we used to play like League. There was a bunch of us, and we used to play League of Legends, and it was just a
Yeah.
case of just like why, why would you even get, why would you get a laptop? But it's for that reason. It's literally just because it's like, I had it for cheaper than I would have been able to get my desktop. I had more for my money in terms of RAM and
Mm.
specs and stuff. It's a bit dated now, but I can literally just go, okay, well, I want to go play there, and off I go.
Yeah, but I suppose for me anyway, and I suppose it's a question I think you should ask yourself anyway when you're thinking about buying something like this is, one, am I going to need to take it round all the houses, or is it fine just being at home? And for me personally, it's fine just being at home.
Yeah, same here. Same here.
I guess I'm quite you know quite all over the place quite a lot of the time. Like moved house again, moved house again. Like it's just kind of like wandering around. And if God forbid I have to move, well, I will have to move house again. Like come next July.
Yeah.
God forbid having the desktop and then having to find. It's just easy to put the laptop in the bag and off I go. Like.
Yeah.
Especially considering I know what's coming in the next like year and a half or whatever. I know what I'm doing roughly. So.
It's a very situational thing. It's a horses for course. I mean, obviously you guys are at uni, like you just said, Josh. You're going to have to leave at some point because uni is a finite thing. Whereas I'm settled where I am, so a desktop was a natural thing for me. I'm not going to move
Yeah.
anywhere. So it is a sort of, like you said, Robert. You need to ask yourself that at the moment. Say, what do I need right now? Don't think 4 or 5 years down the line. What's going to happen in the next X amount of months? Am I going to move around? No. Get a desktop.
I think
Are
I
Yeah.
think 12 months is probably a good
Yeah.
window.
Yeah.
Do I need to move in the next 12? Do I need to? Am I going to have to go? Am I going to, commute out to Mongolia for work?
Yeah.
Like. It's the questions you need to ask yourself because you're
That'd be
obviously
an
not going to get the
awesome
desktop.
job.
You're not going to put the desktop in your suitcase and then let
No.
Ryanair fly you to Mongolia because it'll come back in bits.
Yeah.
You might as well take it as hand luggage.
Can you
I
imagine
don't
getting that
think
through
Ryanair
customs?
flies to Mongolia,
I
but
don't
there
think
you
they
go.
do.
Would it fit in the overhead compartment?
You're allowed 2 bits of hand luggage now, Ryanair.
So
Mm.
that's your desktop and your
Your
screen.
monitor.
Yeah. So
That's it.
Win-win.
Problem
Yeah.
solved.
problem is if you've got a typing game, you're screwed.
Or your accessories.
Oh no.
You have to fly out there.
But I think going back to the original question of will PCs ever sort of depose the console?
Yeah.
Having obviously only given up my console within the last 7 or 8 months, I had a PC until I had a PS3 until I did YouTube. I don't think it ever will because, despite obviously being a YouTuber and all that stuff, I still count myself as not quite a casual gamer, but I'm not one of these. I don't take it particularly serious. Obviously, I get annoyed if I lose and stuff like that, and I do play a lot of games, but. There is a certain aspect of the plug-in and play aspect that Josh talks about that is always going to appeal, and I mean, now obviously been on a computer for a while now, I can do the looking through files and folders and changing ini files if needs be, and adding mods and stuff. But when I was 10, I think I was 10 when I got my PS1, the first ever console I had. Remember thinking that Rayman was the most beautiful graphics I'd ever seen in my life, which says something. But when I got
Ain't
that,
gonna get better than this.
how can they ever top it?
Plateau.
But no, when I, knowing back then, and obviously, my parents are not from the computer generation, really. I mean, the first computer game they played was a typing adventure on the old, There was the one that had cassette
Bill
tapes.
64. Was it the Commodore?
Might have been, yeah.
Hmm.
And it was a Lord of the Rings text-based adventure where they couldn't get past Bag End without dying. So, but if I'd ever
Dark
had
Souls.
if I'd ever had a game that required something like that on the PC, it wouldn't have happened until I'd been about 15, 16. So there is
Yeah.
I think there's not that to disparage the console, because they do make some very good serious gamer games, but it's sort of, you're looking for a particular market. Entry level gamers are always going to be wanting the consoles, unless of course people get one of those,
Yeah.
which is, I think, is actually more the main rival for the younger people's market in consoles rather than the PC is.
Hmm.
I think like it was something. I mean, you could do an entire podcast on the next subject, but to keep it brief, is what constitutes a gamer nowadays. The idea of is it 10, I think I read some statistics like they class people as a gamer if they spend about 10 minutes a day playing games. So Angry Birds on the train.
Yeah.
You know, you're a gamer. Like, and
It's all them Candy Crush kids. That's what it is.
that's it. But like, you sit there and play Candy
Thanks,
Crush
King.
for 10 minutes a day, which is easy enough to do.
Yeah.
And you're a gamer, but like,
Yeah, but counter argument to that. If I have one pint down the pub and then decide to go home, does that make me an alcoholic?
Yeah.
I think it'd be a case of, by the same measures, if you drank 2 pints a night for a week, that probably makes you an alcohol or a bit. I think it's a binge drinker is probably,
Yeah.
but like it's the standards of which it's measured against. Like, so I mean, I was thinking this because like, though it was a good, a good topic, and possibly next time you can go more into it because I know there's more you want to talk about. But the idea of like entry level gamers,
Yeah.
I'd never consider. It sounds really bad, but I'd never consider somebody who plays Clash of Clans on their iPad, like even if they played it for
No.
3 hours a day, or like Candy Crush on their iPad for 3 hours a day, like that's not gaming to
No.
me.
No.
Gaming to me is like, I'm going to offend a bunch of people here, but I wouldn't necessarily constitute people who play like FIFA or Madden as
No.
gamers.
No.
No.
Like, I think there is a.
Come at him, internet. Send your angry letters to PO Box.
Come at me at Josh_Bolts on Twitter. Fight me IRL.
This is when I later find out that later this week he's cancelled his Twitter account.
That's it. This is the point when you find me. You come round my house. You're like, oh, well, that's in Josh for a while. You come knock the door. You just like peek through the kitchen window and just see me bloody and broken on the kitchen floor. But
Yeah.
but yeah, no. I think we
But
can obviously have a different
there's
conversation about that another time.
I think
but
there's still always going to be a market for PC consoles.
consoles.
As we say, it's kind of more accessible for, we said, parents buying their kids consoles, things like that, and yes, even from not that I think it happens much anymore, but I still feel nostalgic about it, is when you go round someone's house and it's like, oh, you want to play some Xbox? Yeah, I got my Xbox controller, and you just sit next to each other and play, which you just can't do with PC. There's no games that can really do that much.
Well, actually, I would say that I'm sat here at this moment with one of these, and I know that I could use this with the Fireblades computer downstairs. So they are sort of becoming cross-transferable. But I think, like we said, the difference between FIFA and what we have on the computer. Well, obviously we get FIFA on the computer, but the groups of people that play them, shall we say? There are certain games that will always lend themselves to a controller, be it on the PC or be it on a console. And things like sports games are. You don't need a million amount of controls to play them. You need simple things. For football, you need pass, shoot, tackle, and dive. And, that you don't need a whole keyboard's worth of controls to do that. Whereas for stuff like World of Warcraft, a lot of online games, stuff like that, where you have like 50
There's not
moves
enough keys on the keyboard.
No, exactly, and they don't work. I mean, I remember when I first saw Age of Empires 2 for the PS2, I thought, how is that going to work?
Badly.
Exactly. It lends itself to
RTSs are never great on consoles, sadly.
Well, you kind of got to take the one that I find lends itself very, very well to controllers, Sid Meier's Civilization Revolutions is
Yes.
brilliant, and XCOM Enemy Unknown actually works
Yeah.
pretty well.
Done right, fine.
I think you've
'Cause,
just got to
you know,
work out how
as
to
long
do
as
it.
it's not like let's just make this port quick.
Yeah.
I think the issue, like, I think why XCOM and Civ work versus Battle for Middle Earth or Age of Empires is because they're turn-based real-time games,
Mm.
and like, and that kind of, rather, it works. It gives the console enough time for it to be like, when you need to just spam units on Age of Empires, you just wouldn't have the time to do it on the Xbox because you'd have to go like grab like barracks
Yeah,
and then like click the
yeah, and
barracks
then another thing as well, which
and then
I've
chip move
found
them
is even
like.
more annoying, like because I've got Battle for Middle Earth 2 on Xbox. It was one of the first games I bought for the console.
Itchy ass
But
fucking
I
game.
got that, and even just moving around the map. Forget
Hard.
about picking up troops and
Yeah.
stuff. Moving around the map's really difficult. Whereas Age of Empires, you've got obviously the big map, but then you've got a little mini map,
Yeah.
and something's going on right at the other end of the map. You just click on that mini map, and it teleports you straight there. Easy, convenient,
Yeah.
simple, instead of like trying to scroll down ages and ages and ages. Oh, gone past it. I'm going to go back. It's more convenient. So I definitely think types of games, there's more of
Lend
a market
themselves
on the
better,
PC
yeah.
than. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I think entry level. I'd never consider tablets as entry level for gamers
No.
at all. But so I think consoles are both. They're hardcore and casual,
Yeah.
and I think they're probably your first port of call,
Yeah.
which is the reason why I think that consoles will stay around, because eventually, as Humble has done, he's grown up and he's sold his PlayStation and he's bought the big gaming PC because he knows he wants
He
to
is a
commit to
man
it.
now.
He wants to commit to it for the next like 10 years or however
Yeah.
long you want
Yeah.
to be playing your games for, versus like, you know, well, not necessarily me, because I know I'm going to be playing games in the next year. But I've taken the different route of, I've moved away from consoles and I've started to pick up like traditional, cards and plastic and dice and tangible things versus the console.
Totally different argument now.
Oh yes. Yes.
But I think,
but
I
again,
think the console is the entry level, and whichever way
Yeah.
you go, whether you grow up and play traditional games,
Yeah.
whether you grow up and play computer games, the console is always
Because
going to be your first port of call.
it's definitely these figures are coming from enthusiasts. So these aren't just people that are buying, just a PC and they think, oh, I can play a couple of games on it. These are people who are putting money into either building PCs or buying PCs and buying the best graphics card, like these Nvidias or whatever. People that are buying the RAM, the everything.
Once again, it's what constitutes, in the same way I've just gone, what constitutes a gamer,
Yeah.
what constitutes an enthusiast, what level of money do you have to spend on the,
Yeah.
or what level of spec do you have to have by the people who did the survey to then be constituted as an enthusiast? Because obviously, if you spend £200-300, £400 on your computer, does that, like, even though it's gonna last you the next like 5 or 6 years and you've bought it for like longevity's sake,
Yeah.
does that constitute you as an enthusiast? Like, the stats and statistics are often quite misleading, I think.
I think it's the difference between people who, put it on a different level. So the difference between people who like me, who enjoy watching football because they enjoy sport, and people who are watching football because they're avid football fans. They know all the stats. I would never ever build my own PC because A, I don't know enough about PCs, and B, I'm not invested enough in it to go out and learn the stuff that you need to pick the best PC, ignoring the financial issues.
Yeah, that's me exactly. I literally want to just Google it and say, okay, what should I buy?
Yeah.
And then someone tell me what I should
I've
buy.
just said my brother's pretty savvy, and my brother has just built his own computer,
Yeah.
and he said that he's had the money you save building your own computer is absolutely retarded, like compared to what you spent just getting like the Alienware like pre-made sort of like
Yeah.
machine.
I mean, yeah, you can build yourself a really, pretty decent middle of the range, maybe if not a little bit higher, gaming PC for cheaper than you can buy one, I suppose. Like just a ready built one. Yeah, it is amazing what you can do. But then it's having the knowledge to do that, or
It was my
knowing
brother who was
someone
going
that
to
can
build my
build one.
laptop for me, which is why, because I've probably only got like 250 pounds like as a budget really.
Yeah.
And my brother said, well, yeah, we will be able to get you literally everything you want, providing that you go component by component.
Yeah.
And my brother is the one who builds it
In
effectively. 'Cause
comparison to what I've looked at, because I've looked at gaming PC laptops, and you're sort of looking at £500 for the lowest spec
Yeah.
one.
yeah,
So yeah, you are saving yourself a lot of money.
Yeah.
but
But
I'm guessing it comes in at like somewhere between like 250 to like 350 pounds. So I mean, even that extra 150 quid is,
Hmm.
that's enough to start your Steam library.
Yeah.
yeah. But then, talking of Steam, this kind of moves nicely on, I suppose, to the Steam box.
Yeah, that's
Which
it.
has been wondering around for a while, and I've kind of been wondering for quite a while who exactly is the target audience for the Steam box, because obviously people who are going to want to sit down on their sofa and play a game are probably going to just get a console game,
I
a
do
console like
wonder if
PS4 or the Xbox One, and people who want to play PC games are just going to buy a desktop.
Well,
But
it's just a really like strong console though, isn't it? It's like,
yeah,
but which is like mouse and keyboard compatible, which is nice because that means that then you avoid this Age of Empires problem of having to buy it for Xbox.
Yeah.
You just buy Age of Empires and instead you get a wireless mouse and a wireless keyboard, and you can still watch in the comfort of your own home in the living room
yeah,
without having to take up the space of a PC or have to have like a laptop on your lap. So I
yeah,
think actually that the Steam box is a brilliant idea because it's the bridge between the two. It's
Yeah.
can I
yeah, definitely,
do
definitely.
I want to commit like stupid money to my computer?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm done with my console, so let's sell my console for like 150 quid or whatever you're going to get for it.
Yeah.
Reinvest that money back into the Steam box, start my Steam library on with the Steam box, because undoubtedly playing a game on computer, you are playing with Steam at some point, obviously. So yeah, play with the Steam box. How do I get on with that? And then invest back into the computer from the
Yeah.
Steam box, and you've still kept your titles.
Yeah.
So I think that's actually where it's got serious advantage, because you can still play Batman with the gamepad on the Steam box. Because I've seen bits from E3 where they just had the controllers in their hands, and I know Batman's controller compatible because I played it last year on my computer. So
Yeah.
I think that's kind of where it lies. It's actually just it's the middle
I
child.
suppose
Yeah.
I suppose the
Nice.
biggest draw to what Steambox may be, and I think what will possibly be key to its success, because obviously it's trying to bridge that gap, is if the Steambox is upgradable.
It's a good shout actually.
Because
good
that's
call.
the thing. Obviously, if you want to upgrade from your 360 or your PlayStation 3, it's going to be the PS4,
Yeah.
the Xbox One. It's not, oh, I'm just going to buy this add-on
I'm pretty
like
sure
you do
it's
with
gonna,
PC.
I'm pretty sure it's gonna have console upgrading, but I think it's
Yeah.
kind of built to the standard. Whereas versus obviously like they have to develop specific like their PC games, and literally all it is it's like a Mac Mini. You get the little hard drive, and that's all it is. I think that's what it
Yeah.
is. It's just a way that you can just plug it into your TV, still have like your console games, because obviously, as you've said, there's not really such thing as exclusivity, and then still be able to play the PC games as well. But I think eventually, when it does like start to knacker, and you can't buy, Battlefield 7, you can then the Steambox 2 will be ready, and then you cash that in and just like reinvest back into the Steambox 2.
Yeah.
Like I think it's going to be console upgrade, and I don't think it's going to be put like an extra like 2 gig of DDR3, and it's going to be, a case of just having to buy a new machine.
Yeah. The Steam box has sort of passed me by a little bit. I saw the report when it first was announced, and I remember thinking at the time, it's a good idea if Steam can pull it off.
Yeah. Because
Um,
I think it's the target audience which is the worrying, because who are they going to sell this to? And why? Why would you buy this over buying a PC or a console?
That's the thing. I mean, I would never buy it because obviously I've got all my Steam games right in front of me, right here.
But
So
would it
I-
suit you, Bob? Out of interest, would
Sorry?
would it suit you versus you spending the 500 quid on your gaming laptop or your desktop?
Yeah.
Would it suit you just to buy the Steam box, still be able to play Lord of the Rings along because that comes through Steam? Know it's going to work, and then the issue that you need to then work out is whether it has recording function. I
Yeah, I
guess.
mean, if I can plug in my Elgato, brilliant. I mean, no doubt they'll probably, if it does happen, Elgato will probably make an update for the capture card to do so, because they did so when the PS4 and the Xbox One came out, and obviously they're kind of more PC specs, but you know, but like depending on, because I've not really looked into it much, but obviously it'd be something I decide when it comes out, I suppose, whether it's a worthwhile investment or is it just worth me getting a desktop instead. Um, but it's definitely something that's interesting me, and I want to see where it goes,
I mean, in all
because
fairness, that's
yeah,
probably
obviously
my
I
next
would probably
investment.
buy that over convenience
Yeah.
if I can do exactly what I do on a desktop, because I've got space to put it under my telly in my lounge. Hello, cat. As opposed to finding room to put a desktop.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah. Good.
You fed him, by the way. He's meowing. He's gonna disturb you otherwise, I think.
yeah, I know.
Has he been fed?
Yeah, he's got breakfast.
Greedy cat.
Just to join the cast
It's fine.
for everywhere, dude.
More than
So
welcome
yeah,
to.
But just thinking, actually, just while I think about that, the Steam box is an interesting thing for consoles, because if because at the moment there is a sort of argument that, obviously, we were talking about how consoles and PCs are good for different types of games and they sort of lend themselves. I think we won't so much see a split in one outsells the other. I think we'll just see a split in demographic for the two. But there will still be some stalwarts on the PS3 and the PS4 who don't play FIFA, who play things like Skyrim, who play what you might
Hardcore.
yeah,
let's just be
hardcore
honest.
games.
The people who play proper games.
Yeah, yeah. And eventually, people who do that are going to want things like, they're going to start demanding things such as the Oculus Rift. They're going to start looking at
Yeah.
things like, recording software like the Elgato cards and stuff like that. And first of all, if the Steam Box doesn't have compatibility with at least one of those kinds of things, it's been tremendously short-sighted.
Yeah.
And two, do you guys think that will be a deciding factor in some people, we'll call them hardcore gamers for now, abandoning the PS4? Because if, for example, the Oculus Rift guys come out and say, no, we're not making it compatible with that, we're just going to focus on the PC, because they've just brought out the new build of it, I think. So
Yeah.
um,
It's recently come
I
out.
think actually it's probably looking into it, like considering the specs and considering the games available, and obviously considering if I can still talk to, like, Rob or whatever over Steam, like, in how the how the chat system is implemented, the can't talk, the compatibility with controllers, mice, keyboards. That's likely to be my next investment, actually. Sod the PS4 or the Xbox One. If that's the case, and I can have the best of both worlds, still be able to game, and still be able to play, Age of Empires 2, which I've had for a while now and just not touched because I just don't have the capability on my laptop to play it anymore.
yeah,
Like, I think actually that's probably the next route. And I think you're right. Like, people who are kind of remaining on the consoles, who, your Call of Duty players, your FIFA,
yeah,
they're probably looking into the more like realism aspect of like Oculus Rift. And I think
yeah,
that's actually a really, really good shout. They're going to move towards like VR versus well, I mean, they've already sacrificed gameplay because they play Call of Duty, so
well, yeah,
versus gameplay. So you know that's actually a really, really good
yeah.
point.
And especially, I mean, if you look at a lot of sports games now, they have these career modes where you can play just as your guy. And the Oculus Rift lends itself to stuff like that because, I mean, obviously in Skyrim it lends itself because you're playing a first-person character, and so I think that will be, maybe not in the next year or so, but certainly in the next 2 or 3 years as things start to develop, it might be a deciding factor for some people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, yeah, the Oculus Rift is something to probably bring into this conversation.
Yeah.
And obviously with, Sony and Microsoft, obviously we know Sony are trying to making the Morpheus,
Yeah.
their own VR, and there's rumors that Microsoft are doing the same. But yeah, no, I mean, I've been lucky enough to experience the Oculus Rift, and it's amazing. It really is awesome. So yeah, I definitely think that's something to consider when thinking about this.
I think the
Yeah.
sports games actually, I know you said it, they'd be freaking awesome on the Oculus Rift.
They would imagine that first person. Whatever your sport, you're doing what you've always dreamed of doing.
The issue is
Especially,
though the move. Like I don't know how movement necessarily works because obviously you were playing. I forgot the name of the
Elite
game.
Dangerous.
Yeah, Elite Dangerous. So obviously you were like sat in a cockpit. Your spaceship goes forward with this handle, it brakes with this handle, it shoots with this button. You do this,
Yeah.
and so obviously then are you going to be running around your living room playing FIFA and smash into the wall?
Well, there was I think it was a different company. I can't remember who, but they were making a. It's quite big, but
Yes.
it's basically like a treadmill almost, in which you can walk in, and you're kind of like secured in it and stuff, and it allows you to sort of move about and walk around and everything like that. So it's those sort of things, but obviously if you're kind of like being a goalkeeper, I think you probably need something a bit more movement based if you were gonna do a dive.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the question then becomes, particularly for people like Microsoft and Sony, and maybe more Microsoft, obviously, with the Kinect, do they start integrating Oculus Rift with Kinect so that as a goalie, you just stand facing the Kinect, and when you need to move, you just do that? I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, it's less easy for more mobile games where you actually physically have to walk places or run places. But for static games like that, I mean, there are a lot of sports that are quite static in terms of, I mean, things like,
Golf.
golf, football, goalkeeping, American sports like baseball, NFL. If you just play
Even
NFL, no,
cricket.
don't.
right.
It's very, very active NFL. Trust me.
Well,
That's
granted, yes,
that's
but
my
if you,
that's my sport of choice.
oh, fair enough, fair enough, fair enough. But there are even if we break out into things that aren't really sports, they're games. Things like darts and snooker and pool. Again,
Yeah.
they're things you can do stood quite still. And if with
Mickey.
the Oculus Rift, it's all it just seems like a natural combination.
Does it
Yeah.
not seem a bit more like when they do like? I mean, Microsoft doesn't need encouraging with the Kinect. Like, you
No,
just
that's
put
true.
it in the box, go away. But like, obviously with the Kinect Sports, that was kind of like darts and snooker and
Yeah.
that sort of thing. So I wonder if does the Oculus Rift just end up being a gimmick like the Kinect was? It's great to have your family and you all sit around. It's like the Wii. You have the Kinect on the living room and
Yeah.
you play it for
I
three
don't
and a
think
half
it will.
weeks.
I don't think it will. Done right with certain games, it will be brilliant.
Yeah.
When I got a chance to play Elite Dangerous, I played it with the Oculus Rift, and obviously in that game you're in a cockpit and you've got your controls and stuff, but you quite often need to look around. You need to look to your side to bring up a new menu or to do sort of light speed travel and things like that. And doing it with the Oculus, it's just literally you turn your head as opposed to try and get yourself to turn your head in on the screen. So it's much more immersive. So you just literally look down. Okay, well there's the menu. Da 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 da. Right, let's look forward. And even looking up because the cockpit is all glass.
Yeah.
Looking up and seeing the stars just shoot past you. The immersion,
Yeah.
phenomenal.
Does that then like spoil multiplayer though, as such? Like because I think it's a good idea, and like for games like Elite Dangerous, you know, I can see it working because obviously we've just talked about sort of like motionless sports like golf or whatever, and like the Elite Dangerous, you're sat down. They could do like World of Tanks on the Oculus Rift quite effectively because you just pilot the tank. But like, I just don't think it's got the longevity to be able to do. Like, I mean, obviously I've not experienced it and shoot me down, but like, having to have a treadmill to walk and like not like smash into your television or your living room or your sofa, and just like it just seems a bit too much hassle almost. It just kind of just seems like
It's definitely one of these things that is still work in progress. It's still something that needs tweaking and working on because, admittedly, when I had the Oculus on, it was quite blurry, and it wasn't perfectly clear. You can still see what was going on, but anything like written text, you couldn't really see.
Yeah.
You could sort of barely make out. So it's still a work in progress, and I think all these things, such as this treadmill thing and everything like that, it's something that needs testing and
another
working
issue.
on.
Actually, I've just thought now you said the text thing. Imagine playing Skyrim right on the Oculus Rift, and like sometimes that on Skyrim there's books that you just can't read because for whatever reason they're just they're pinned in shelves and you can only read like certain titles. Now imagine on the Oculus Rift they'd have to write every single book of every single thing that they populated because obviously as the player you just go, oh, just have a quick, and then then it becomes a matter of like processing power and graphical issues and just like memory being able to be stored on the games, because there are, if it's really immersive, fantastic. I'd love to be able to play my orc warrior in first person on Skyrim and hack the living crap out of some enemies or whatever. But then also, like, when you want to go like real deep into the lore, if you're like properly like role playing your character and just like trying to like learn more about the world, then I think it becomes an issue, because obviously then everything in that world has to be interactive, literally everything. Because otherwise, you just pick up the book or you go to like reach at the shelf and it stops you, then that's it. The immersion's gone.
Yeah.
I personally am yet to find a book in Skyrim that you can't read and that hasn't had text in it.
It was a bad example, but say like
Yeah.
Fable, obviously you can only read like certain books, or it's.
But yeah, no. From the standpoint of Oculus Rift, it's something that it would have to recognise you picking it up, and you then looking down and reading it. So you'd have to have have to be in a suit essentially.
Well, I mean, there is nothing. The thing with the Oculus Rift at the moment works in conjunction with a controller.
Yeah.
So you're looking around, and there's no, for the time being, I don't describe myself as a hardcore gamer. So for someone like me who would just enjoy the experience of it, I'm quite happy to sit on my chair here, have the Oculus Rift, and still use a good old Xbox. And so when I look at it, all I have to do is then press X, and the character then just takes the book for me.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, there's a slightly branching out to again another possible podcast-worthy argument. Things like that, you have to be careful. Do you guys know either TV series or the books of Red Dwarf at all?
Yes.
Do you remember the Better Than Life storyline? It's in series 2 that it's implanted directly into your brain, so you actually take yourself into the game. In the TV series, it was very funny, good laugh. But in the books, what they talked about was this whole you forgot you were in the game, and so actually, from a slightly sort of odd viewpoint, if you will, having that in your hands is probably a good way of reminding yourself to get up and eat occasionally. Particularly how good graphics are getting now. You look around and you take the Oculus Rift on, it could almost be a shock to see bookcases.
Yeah, no, you can almost see it in American.
Lights.
Exactly.
As well.
Yeah.
Like it'll just if you've got it on and like you do a hardcore session at like 6-7 hours because you were like really like into your game, you take it off and then all of a sudden it's still light outside and things like that. And hurt your eyes.
That'll be it in 10 years' time. American media, Oculus Rift killed my kid.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, brilliant.
Have any of you guys seen WALL-E, like the film WALL-E, like the Disney film?
Oh yes, yes.
There's a point like right at the start, it was on like a big space station, and it's just like big fat people just like sat in floating chairs with like VR goggles on, and it's just like the robots just like get them everything they want, and it's just kind of like that's probably where we're going to end up. We're just going to be sat there, like we'll develop robots that can just like get us food, and then we'll be like sat there, and then just occasionally and then put it down, and
Why spend money to experience life?
Yeah,
that's basically it.
But I think that the one thing that will stop the human race doing that is going back to what Rob said about half an hour ago now, when you said that there is that old thing of just sitting around with your mates with a controller in your hand, chatting, knocking each other over, pissing about people's drinks, all that sort of stuff, and just enjoying, just holding the game controller.
Yeah.
I think regardless
the social experience.
Whatever technological stuff happens in the next 10 years, in 10
You're
years'
still not going to beat that experience.
No, you won't.
Even more than that, because I've over the years more and more I've been getting into tabletop games.
Yeah.
So the Dungeons and Dragons and things like that, and even that compared to me sitting down with a mate and playing split screen, even that's just a better experience.
Yeah.
Because you're just sitting there and experiencing people and that social interaction, and it's so strong. Yeah, I don't think you can't beat that, and you won't.
And I quite often have Rob bashing down my door to be able to play. So when we are peeing next, Dungeon Master.
And it's stuff like that will keep the consoles alive. I think no PC master race, quote unquote, could ever fight against the human ability to want to see other humans.
And to want to play, and like to experience other humans in a one-to-one level as well.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Okay, awesome. Well, I think we've gone on for long enough. If we're all ready to sort of finish up and move on to the releases.
Yeah, go for it.
So great conversation, guys. Thank you. It was awesome.
Well,
so the game releases for August this coming month. These aren't all the releases, I must say, but these are some of them, or the majority of them. But on the 1st of August, we've got The Last of Us Remastered for the PlayStation 4. None of us have got that console, but anyone interested at all in Last of Us or possibly getting it? Because I mean, it seems a bit. I mean, it only come out 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do a Microsoft and backpedal on my last podcast statement. I have actually been considering the PlayStation, just because like all my friends currently have it, and I only have one friend who, like, admittedly is my best mate, and he does have the Xbox.
But screw him.
But that being said, it's like, what we were just saying. The ability to play with one guy versus the ability to play with like 10 or 12.
Many.
Yeah.
It's kind of pushing me more towards that. And I said, look, last time was, I can't miss what I never had when we were talking about The Last of Us. But it seems right up my alley. I kind of like my survival.
Yeah, I mean, it's
games.
because I missed out on Last of Us the first time on the PS3. So I think I might, if I get a PS4, I'll hold out and get the remastered version because I might as well. I've
I
not
might
bought.
try and get mine bundled with it because you can buy them as a bundle.
Yeah, precisely. So moving on, the 5th of August, we've got Sacred 3 coming out for the PC, PS3, and 360.
Sacred is weird. Like,
Isn't it like a card game?
I don't know, because I remember
Yeah.
seeing Sacred 2, and I'm pretty sure it was it's an RPG. I don't know if it is a card game anymore, or if it's based on a card game. Moving on.
And coming out that same day, we've got Ultra Street Fighter 4 for the PS3 and 360.
Ultra, look, that's already out, isn't it? Ultra?
I-
Because like
I-
a bunch of people I know are already playing Ultra, because I don't even know. I've got Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition. That's the one.
I don't know. I might have put down the platforms wrong. It might be coming out on PS4 and Xbox One. I'm not sure.
But I'm pretty sure it's already on the PlayStation. No, I think it's already on the computer. It might already be on the 360.
Well, apparently it's coming out on the 8th on PC.
Oh, in which case then it's probably gone on the consoles and missed the PC.
Possibly, yeah. So anyway, moving on the 12th of August, we've got Disgaea 4 for the Vita. It's an RPG of sorts,
Okay.
these-
as far as I know.
Online
Yeah.
games.
On the 19th, we've got the Diablo 3 Ultimate Evil Edition for the PS4, Xbox One, PS3, and 360.
I was
all
going
the
to pick
consoles.
up Diablo, but actually now considering that version's been released, I mean, if it's got all the DLC and apparently it's the first time you can play through like all the 5 chapters of the Diablo, so it's not like Reaper of Souls on the Xbox, which was just the DLC. Like,
Yeah.
as a standalone thing, it'd actually be nice just to be able to just go like Diablo Chapter 1 to Diablo Chapter 5, because I've never played Diablo before. It looks
No,
Yeah,
neither
no,
have
neither
I.
have
But
I.
I think I want to pick up the console version just simply because of that couch co-op.
Yeah.
that's
it's
what I was about to
That's-
say.
that's
like,
the only sort of draw for me.
When I get it, I will be inviting yourself and Tasha around to come and sit with me and and play it, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So that's that's actually the main reason that's drawn me to it. Once again, it's the interaction with your friends and just
Yeah.
being able to just drop in, drop out, and just play.
Yeah.
So, but
Are
yeah,
you
I
a
think
Diablo player, Humble?
No, it's one of those games that I know I probably should have played, but haven't ever actually got round to.
Yeah.
But I've got a couple of good friends that play, and they absolutely rave about it. So, was it on PC? Did you say, or was it console only?
it is PC. Diablo has
Yeah, I think
always
it's
been a
probably
PC.
already out on
with
Yeah.
PC, but currently on the 19th, it's just all the consoles.
So,
I'm
'cause
pretty sure they
if
might already
it's-
have. They might have the integrated Reaper of Souls thing already.
Yeah.
That's probably the reason they've done it. Game
Yeah.
of the Year edition for
Yeah.
the consoles, because
Well,
you could just like go.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for anything with GOTY on it, so I should probably look at that, if not buy it at some point. I'd imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well-
give it a go.
I suppose wait for the winter sale on Steam.
Exactly.
They just give it you for free. They pay you
Yeah,
to play
they
it.
pay
Yeah.
you to play it.
So on that same day, we've got Plants vs Zombies: Garden Warfare coming over to the PS3 and PS4.
I love that game so
It's
much.
done quite well, apparently.
Yeah.
It's so much fun. Like,
I mean, I love Plants vs Zombies anyway, but having it a first-person shooter.
it's third person. It's awesome. It is so much fun. It's just literally one of those games that you can just sit there and like lose yourself for like an hour and a half, 2 hours. It doesn't take itself seriously in the slightest. It's like class based. It's, oh man, there's like, you can like get like collectible sticker packs, and it gives you like new different character. It's just so much fun. And then
Awesome.
obviously like there's also like a horde mode as well as like competitive multiplayer as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
enjoy that on the PS, guys. I've already had it on the
Cool.
360 for ages. It's really good fun. I recommend you pick it up.
Nice.
Awesome.
Will do.
And again on the same day, we've got Tales of Exilia 2 coming out for the PS3.
Sounds like an RP.
Yeah, JRPG.
It does. And I am one of these Westerners that sees the words JRPGs and runs for the hills. I've never got on with them. Never got on with them.
Yeah, they do. They are they're a niche.
Yeah.
They're a niche genre.
They're a niche
You
that
either
I
love them or
never
you hate
fit
them.
into.
No.
I think
Not
they're
me.
probably one of the Marmite genres of the gaming world.
Yeah.
So then coming out on the 26th of August, we've got Madden NFL 15 for the Xbox One, 360, PS3 and PS4s.
Let's possibly pick it up at some point. I thought Madden 25 was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I've not played a Madden game since Madden 05, I think. That's it. It
old
had Andrew
school.
WK on the soundtrack, so
Nice. Yeah, it's
it was a
not
good
that anymore.
soundtrack.
It's
No.
all hip hop now.
Oh. But
It's ice hockey
that-
want to go to for all the metal.
yeah.
Another rock.
But again, like we said about sports games earlier, I really enjoyed the Madden game. It did what it did. I'd never played American football. I was able to pick it up and get the gist of the game quite well, and it got me into it. And yeah, I don't see why it shouldn't be a good game.
Yeah, I think I'm going to leave it because I'm loath to buy sports games year after year after year after year. But dependent upon like the overhauls, because I know there were a couple of things about Madden 25 that were a bit like I really enjoyed the game, but it kind of overhauled like one side and not the other.
Yeah.
So if they've fixed like the defensive end of it, and it's just a bit easier to pick up and play than Madden 25, because that was kind of hardcore. I thought you had to actually be quite good at Madden to play it, or to play it effectively. Then I will pick it up when it's cheaper, I guess.
Yeah.
But
I'm still waiting for another Quidditch World Cup game.
it's not happening. That actually was a
Just saying.
really good game.
It was. I remember
Sick
playing
game.
it. Yeah, it
It's
was
a really,
brilliant.
Awesome
really,
game.
really good game.
Although playing it now, I'm too good at that game. For some reason, they didn't have difficulty levels. They should have
'Cause
had
it's
difficulty
easy.
levels
It's
because
'cause
it's
it's-
too easy now.
It was too easy anyway. I remember.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it was. Even when I was a kid, I
You just scored
I
like
just
17 and like
kept
4
playing it
extra
and kept
matches
playing it
left.
and just
Yeah.
easily win all the World Cups. So anyway, on the 26th, we've got Metro Redux for the PS4 and Xbox One and PC.
Also known as Russian Fallout.
Yes.
Yep.
And again, a Metro's a series that I haven't played, but I feel I've probably missed out on it. So
Played
since
the first one.
yeah,
It's okay. Like I think the first one was a bit like sketchy, a bit buggy.
yeah,
The premise is good. Like I like the idea of you have to like wear the gas mask, and so you've only got like the gas goggles. So like it adds a bit of like a horror suspense
Yeah.
element to it, where you have to like turn your because you can't see like the peripheral like you can on like the rest of the screen. So you can only see when you're outdoors. Like that's like your vision. You
Yeah.
can't see like outside it. It's
Alright.
pretty frightening. Yeah, it's a good good sort of survival
Sounds good. I
game.
might pick that up. Yeah.
Cool.
I think Last Light was pretty good, but I
Yeah.
heard that was a bit buggy. It looked really good though.
I think it got fairly good reviews.
Yeah, I heard a couple of people say it was a bit glitchy, but I guess when you make massive open world games,
It's bound to
Bound to
happen.
You're gonna catch a
Yeah.
couple, aren't you? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But there's nothing they can't sort out in patches,
yeah,
unless it's
true.
game breaking, of course. But
Yeah.
so on the 29th, we've got Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney for the 3DS. Super ultra mega awesome fanboy game is the rest of the title. Uh,
I like the Layton games.
Yeah.
Probably won't pick the new one up. Might get one of the old ones. So I just like puzzle games really. Like
I've never
got a
played
3DS.
any of the Professor Layton or Phoenix Wright games, but I hear lots of good things about them.
Never played. I'd never even heard of Phoenix Wright until I'd seen that they were like the two were sort of doing a versus game.
Crossover, yeah.
Like
Nice.
I played Professor Layton before. Like my brother used to have a DS and he used to have like Professor Layton, and I used to just nick it occasionally and just solve a couple of puzzles and stuff. I really enjoy that sort of thing. So maybe it'll be good, and especially if they're both highly recognised.
It's one of these crossover things. It's like what we've got coming on TV soon, Family Guy and The Simpsons. It's one of those things that crossovers like that could be brilliant, but they could fall completely on their arse. And I enjoy Professor Layton. I've watched videos featuring the graphics from Phoenix Wright on YouTube, but I've never actually played the games themselves. And it's touch and go. It could be good. It could be awful.
See, does anybody know anything
Find
about
out.
the Phoenix Wright? Are they like Layton, where it's like here is the puzzle, and then like, or is it more of a kind of Monkey Island esque kind of like clue?
From what I've heard about Ace Attorney is that it's pretty much one of those graphic novels. not
Oh, right.
graphic, but one of those video game novels
Like
essentially.
interactive, yeah.
Yeah, interactive
Yeah.
novels, and sort of like a point and click, and you kind of do all these interactions and talk to these people, get the evidence. Hello, cat. I don't know if you can hear that. That's really loud. Sorry, shush. But you pick up you talk to people, you pick up the evidence, and then you make your case.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Right.
So
okay.
there's sort of, I suppose, minimal gameplay. Sort of the only sort of gameplay is solving the case, as far as I know.
It's a bit like LA
so
Noir Redux then, without
ish,
the
but
sort of
not quite LA Noir
quite
in that
scary
you,
mocap
yeah.
I quite like that.
imagery.
I quite like
it was
the
we-
old LA
it was
Noir.
well done. It was well done. It was a good game. Although the ending,
Nothing to do after it either.
no,
No side quests.
no.
So anyway, on the 29th again, finishing up this month, we've got Risen 3 for the 360 and PS3.
I'm really gutted they're not bringing that out for PC. I would be grabbing that because I loved Risen 2.
They probably will. They probably will at some point. They'll probably do a port.
Yeah.
Hopefully
Redux.
they'll do it justice though. I
Yeah.
don't know what Risen ports have been like before for the PC, but
No, because I played Risen 3 on the PS3, and it was just I'm a complete fag for anything piratey. On Skyrim I've got eye patches and tricorns and stuff like that. Completely law breaking, but it makes me look cool. I think. But no, Risen 2 was very heavily borrowed, I think, from Pirates of the Caribbean. Even the monsters looked quite like the Davy Jones fish people
Yeah.
you got, which they didn't make any excuses for. They didn't try and say this is not the same as Pirates of the Caribbean. They've said it in a very similar sort of style. I think he was even called Captain Jack. So it does suffer.
no shit's given.
It's going to get the sort of reaction that things like Dragon Age got. You're either going to go, yeah, it's clearly they're telling us it's all about fantasy. You know what you're going to get, enjoy it for what it is, or that's nothing original. Don't bother with it.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't know
I mean,
whether number 3 is going to be
Because
like
I
that
heard
at all,
Risen
but-
2 was quite a departure from the original, which
Yeah.
had obviously mixed reviews. Again, like Dragon Age 2 did with Dragon Age 1.
It's just gonna happen, I guess. Like,
Yeah, definitely.
can't please
So
everyone
yeah,
all the time.
that is next month's releases.
Ooh.
As I say, it's not all of them, but it's most of them. So yeah, so I suppose all that's left to do is finish up with a podcast today. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
Yeah.
Hope you enjoed your time.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's been fun.
Cool. We'll have you on again, Humble. You didn't mess up the carpet, so
Yeah.
we'll have you again. So I suppose all that's left to do is what are you guys planning to do? What are you planning to play anything or get anything for next month, or what are you up to?
Well,
Go for it, Humble.
I'm hopefully going to finish off Lord of the Rings within the next couple of days. Get that series finished. And actually, I had a series on my channel a few months ago, called Mage Rage, made by an Australian group of developers called Team Stallion. And they've just brought out an iOS game, which I've got the computer build for, so I'll hopefully be playing that soon.
Cool.
So, yeah, should be fun.
Awesome. Yeah. So if you want to plug your channel, dude, go for it. I'll obviously have it all linked anyway.
Yeah.
But
If you have liked what you've heard, Humble Gamer channel is youtube.com/HumbleGamerTube. Twitter is @HumbleGamerNews, and Facebook is facebook.com/HumbleGamer. Good to see
go
people around.
follow and subscribe because this guy is awesome.
Thank
Go
you.
do it.
Thank you very much, Rob.
You'll be doing yourselves a massive favour by doing so. So Josh, what are you planning on getting up to?
I'm gonna hit Fallout pretty hard after this. I think I'm gonna piddle around a bit more and destroy humans and see how far I get with that. Fallout. I've also, as I've said, big traditional gamer. I've been writing my own system, so
Which is awesome.
Cool.
Which is awesome.
so
And
yeah,
we need to
I'm
play
gonna put some
very
bells-
soon.
Yeah, Rob's getting irritated because the group is a bit sporadic, so to say. But I'm going to make a couple of tweaks to that. Hopefully, playtest that some more. I did say this last time. I am going to think, especially because I've got the mic and stuff now. Like I might do a couple of vlogs and stuff. So I might start a YouTube as well, kind of based around traditional stuff.
Yeah, no. So as soon as that happens, dude, we'll
Yeah,
give
Definitely.
you a shout out and stuff and link you up.
That's
so.
cool, right? But yeah. So what about you, Rob? Anything else?
Cool. Well, I'm gonna be continuing playing Fallout 3 probably on the live stream and stuff because I'm enjoying live streaming at the moment. It's really quite fun, and I'm planning on putting those things up on the channel as well. Continue with Fable and everything else like that, really. So, yeah,
Nice.
pretty much. So awesome. I suppose all that's left for me to say is obviously you can find this podcast on my YouTube channel, youtube.com, user TheUndeadGamr. Follow me on Twitter at TheUndeadGamr, and for all the latest updates and things like that. So yes, thank you guys so much for tuning in and joining us, and I'll catch you next time.
See you guys. Thank you.
Certainly, guys.
Bye.